Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing season 2 of You. So let's get started. So our hero Joe Goldberg, Penn Bagley, is in Los Angeles now, and he's running away from Candace Stone because his first victim is alive and threatening to expose him. So LA Vibe is about Hollywood celebs and stand-up comedians, Instagram influencers, showy bookstores, wannabe writers, and sexual violence with toxic masculinity. Now our Joe Goldberg, Penn Bagley, is in Los Angeles and he tries to keep a low profile, but he quickly gets into his old habits and he starts stalking another person. Now this time his lover is Love Quinn, played by Victoria Pedretti. Now who is Love Quinn? So Love Quinn is an artist and she's an aspiring chef. She works as a local manager at a high-end grocery store called Anaverin, which is owned by her parents. And her brother, 40 Quinn, works with her. Now, Love Quinn is fiercely independent and she's fiercely protective of her twin brother, 40 Quinn. Now, Love is in grief when she first meets Joe Goldberg, and she can sense that he too has known life-changing loss. She lost her first husband to cancer. Now Joe manipulates her world in order for her to fall in love with him, but she's very smart and she's got some tricks up her sleeve too. So Joe's old world charm doesn't always work on Love. Now end of season 2, it's revealed that Love Quinn is threatened by certain people, and she's able to kill Delilah and Candace to remove her obstacles and start a new perfect little delusional suburban life with Joe. Because she knows the real him now. She found out information about him and she gets pregnant and she ends up having a boy called Henry. Now Love is very different from Joe. She only kills when she feels threatened or she gets caught. She's a little bit more terrifying than Joe because Joe has his own language of stalking and killing, but Love is unpredictable and so he feels threatened by her. Now 40 Quinn is Love's twin brother, played by James Scully to perfection, and he's the manager of Anaverin. Now 40 is LA's elite, funny, unpredictable, live but witty character. Now 40 has his own personal tragedy. When he was a kid, he was raped by an employee of Anaverin, and then his sister Love Quinn protected him and she got rid of her by killing her. And Love kept this from him and he was made to believe that he was guilty and he killed her. So that really changed him and he became a drug addict. He went to certain programs and he couldn't make very important life decisions about himself. He kept second guessing because of that incident that happened in his life. Now 40 Quinn is an aspiring writer and movie director, but he lacks focus and content as his mind is full of remorse and shame because of that incident that happened with Sophia. And it's made worse by his unempathetic parents. Now his love for Love Quinn, his twin sister, is kind of good and bad. It's a little bit toxic as well because he relies on her way too much. Now his friendship with Joe Goldberg, our main character, is quite unique, but also kind of delusional because Joe makes him believe that he's helping him out with his movie script, but in reality he just wants to get close to Love. And he knows that if he wants to get close to her, he needs to, be friendly with 40 and, get close to him as well. 40 Quinn meets Amy Adams, aka Candace Stone, Joe's bitter truth and vengeful ex-girlfriend. Now she somehow follows him around these videos, Hollywood celeb videos, and she finds out about Joe, that he's in Los Angeles, and so she follows him, gets acquainted with 40 Quinn, Love's brother, to get close to Love and 40. To protect Love and 40 from Joe, because we all know that Joe is actually a killer. Now initially when the season starts, we don't really know what Joe is doing in Los Angeles, but later on it's revealed that he is stalking Love, and as soon as he reached Los Angeles, he saw her, he fell in love with her, and he even rented an apartment opposite her house. Where he was staying. The landlord was Delilah Alvive with her sister. Now Delilah Alvive is played by actress Camila Zumbardo. Her character is a tough, independent woman, and she's the guardian of her teenage sister Ellie. They're both basically alone, and they're like trying to like make ends meet. Now Ellie is quite smart. She's very witty and for her age, and I find her character quite inspiring and unique, and her acting is obviously exceptionally good. Because her friendship with Joe is also quite important in the story. You know how Joe likes to protect kids, so he finds another kid he feels that he needs to like totally protect her. I like this part about Joe, that since he was abused as a kid and since he didn't have a good childhood, he doesn't want other children to suffer. Now Delilah also has personal trauma, which will be revealed in the series, you know, with the Hollywood celebrity. And so because of that, she became a little bit bitter. But she became strong over the years, became a reporter, and she's like basically trying to find out dirt against this Hollywood celeb, who's also a stand-up comedian. And so Joe is sort of helping her out as well. Now, she can stand up for herself, so she doesn't really need a man to take care of her. She's a different person altogether. I love her character because in today's world, women are independent, they're financially independent, they're emotionally independent, they don't need men to, you know, help them. They don't need a knight in shining armor. Now, Ellie Alves, Delilah's younger 15-year-old teenage sister, played by Jenna Ortega, which is like the most iconic Netflix role, which actually made her a star. Because later on she played, you know, the Wednesday character in the TV series Wednesday, which is also on Netflix, and I'll be reviewing that soon. So Jenna Ortega, you know, she did play the character really well. So who is Ellie? Ellie is like a smart, witty teenager whose passion is like movie script writing, and she's very like, she's quite mature for her age. Now, since she has a passion for movie direction and movie script writing, she becomes friends with this Hollywood celeb, Henderson. Now, Henderson is also a stand-up comedian. He's quite famous in Los Angeles, and she basically ends up being friends with him. Now, Delilah is not someone who's told what to do. So even though her sister disapproves of Henderson, you know, she doesn't trust Henderson at all. Despite that, you know, Ellie forms a friendship with Henderson, and she interns for him, and it seems to be like she's working for him. But you know, she's still a kid, you know, even though she acts all like mature, she still needs to be protected. So Joe is sort of like stalking her in a way, like, you know, he's put like spyware in her phone, and he kind of looks after her. So that's really sweet, you know, a sweet side of him. Now Delilah is not delusional. She knows, and she has a theory about Henderson, and also it's related to her past. So she's telling everyone that Henderson drugs teenage girls, and then he takes inappropriate pictures of them while they're like unconscious or semi-conscious. And so she wants to protect, obviously she wants to protect her sister Ellie from him. And this theory is sort of like accepted by her lover, who's a policeman, as well as Joe, because Joe is trying to find out stuff about Henderson as well, because he also wants to protect Ellie, you know. Now Delilah also suffered in hands of Henderson, and so when she was a teenager and she first came to Los Angeles, he drugged her and took inappropriate pictures of her. So because of her that traumatic event and her traumatic past, it sort of, because of her struggles, she became like a writer, and it forced her to become a reporter. And so she's been investigating this case for a long time. She wants him behind bars. She wants justice for herself and for other women, so that other women don't get abused in the process. Now, since he's a celebrity and she doesn't have any evidence against him, it's up to Joe now to help her out. Now, since Delilah doesn't have any evidence against Henderson, Joe, you know, finds out about his dungeon, like it's like a basement, secret basement, where he keeps the pictures of all these teenage girls, and he sort of drugs him and forces a confession out of him, and in turn also helps save Ellie, because he'd already drugged Ellie in his house. So in that way, he kind of saves Delilah and Ellie from a lot of trouble. And so but the problem is that Henderson ends up getting killed by an accident. And so when a celebrity dies, you know, it's a big issue. And so now Joe is in actual trouble. Also, the most important thing that I need to tell you is that Joe Goldberg actually took an identity in Los Angeles. He's Will Benahim. So what happened was he wanted a secret pass and he wanted to move forward, but he couldn't because it would take a long time to get, you know, a new identity. So he ends up putting this guy into his cage and steals his identity because he wants to get close to love and he wants a new life quickly. So now this person is in his jail cage, but you know, it feels like a jail where he feeds the guy, and that's like sort of the main story of Joe, that he needs to take care of this person, otherwise the person will die, because there's no way to escape the prison and there's no food over there. So this person is also a druggie, and he gets Joe into trouble as well because he owes a lot of money, and this person is involved with some criminals, and those criminals end up like you know, chopping one of his fingers off, Joe's fingers off. So Joe ends up getting into some sort of trouble as well. But in the end, I feel like Joe sort of relies on Will because Will is like a huge hacker, so he kind of helps him out with the Henderson issue and everything. And also that like this person, Joe, is not entirely like, I wouldn't say that he's like he doesn't have any empathy for people. I think he's quite calculated, and he doesn't really want to kill this person, Will, because you know, this person doesn't need to die. So in the end, we do see some sort of compassion from Joe, which, you know, it's because he ends up like, Will gets saved in the end, let's just put it that way. He escapes the cage. He's probably the only one who escapes the cage by Joe's will. Now we do have to remember that Joe had a very traumatic past, and he ended up actually killing his own father, you know, his abusive father, and the mother was always away and she was getting different lovers. He had a very difficult past. Then he ended up getting adopted by this person who was like a bookstore manager, and he used to put him in the same cage that he puts other people in because he suffered a lot, you know, like he was made to you know, go through stuff that any child should not be going through. Because of that, I think he became like a stalker and a serial killer. He was craving love and attention, and he felt that if he doesn't get it from the woman and the other person is not sincere and loyal to him, then it's justified to, you know, get rid of that person, which obviously it's not, but that's his psyche. And the best part about you is that the narration of Joe Goldberg, which is Ben Bagley, is so intense and it's so passionate that it makes you believe in him. See, he's actually the hero of the story, even though in reality he's the villain, right? Like, he's a serial killer. But he's one of those people where he is like telling you that, okay, this is the reason why I killed this person, and you feel for him. Like, you feel sorry for him. You don't feel like angry, you know, that he killed someone, or you don't feel bad for him, or you don't feel bad for the victim in the end, because I feel like Joe knows how to intensely talk about his delusions, and he actually believes in them. It sort of makes him a very dangerous person, because if you believe in your delusions and you can justify all your killings, then you would never stop killing, right? So he's a very dangerous person to be around. So the end of season 2, there is an unpredictable ending which I haven't told you yet, which I hope if you haven't seen it you would know, so you have to watch it. Basically it ends up leaving you very confused and very horrified as well, but you absolutely love the show and you can't wait for season 3. So I would rate it 8.5 out of 10 for Joe's acting, for Delilah's acting. Love Quinn's acting is brilliant, and so is Ellie's. So take care and see you next week with season 3. If I'm not enough for you, you will kill me. Because while I was seeing you, really seeing you, you were busy gazing a goddamn fantasy. Now we all are a little broken, but some pieces still manage to fit together. No one who tries to love you never really measured up when you're a twin 40. Relationships are scary. You don't get all that goodness and possibility with zero risk.